Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Freakazoid's Den. Today, I am here to talk about the Owl House episode 12, Elsewhere and Elsewhen. I have a little bit of a cold right now, so my voice sounds different, as well as I'm in a different room because I am not in my usual recording place. So, yeah, this was another really, really pretty great episode. There was a little less action in this one compared to the last week's episode, but there's a lot of heavy story elements in this one, and it tells us a lot about Philip Whittamine as well as Dale Clawthorne and many other characters, just kind of building on their stories and things like that. And there's also a lot of theories that could come from this episode here that I will kind of go over towards the end of the video here. But yeah, we will start with the opening, talking about the opening of the episode. So for the opening, we have Luz is still trying to figure out the portal door situation, of course, using the mouse and things like that, while everybody else, the rest of the group there, is downstairs celebrating Lilith's new job opportunity, which is assistant curator at a history museum on the Boiling Isles. And so there's like a bunch of characters there. There was Steve, King, Gwendolyn, as well as this other character named Flora Displora, I believe her name is. And she's like the Emperor's main historian. And Lilith is frustrated with the fact that when she was a part of the Emperor's Coven, Flora was kind of able to do whatever she wanted, while Lilith had to follow very strict guidelines and things like that. So Lilith is the whole point of Lilith's character in this episode here is she's trying to do better than Flora, yeah, and trying to prove that she is better than Flora as a historian. This episode had a very quick little side plot that was going on with Ida and and Dale as well as Gwendolyn. So I thought I would just kind of throw that in here to talk about really quick. Again, it's very, very short, but basically Gwendolyn, in parts of the episode, we kind of cut back and forth between the main plot as well as this little side plot going on here. But Gwendolyn brought Dale to the Owl House, and Ida is afraid to meet her dad because of what she had done to his eye, and then apparently ruining his life because he has to walk with a cane now. It looks, or has his like staff, I think, that helps him walk, and then he also has his hand is a bit cut up and it's kind of shaky and things like that, which is a shame. So Ida just throughout the episode, when they cut back to this plot line, Ida's just trying to find ways to get out of a meeting with Dale because she doesn't want to see him after however many years they haven't seen each other. So Ida tries to dress up as Lilith at one point to try and fool Gwendolyn, but obviously, clearly, does not work. But eventually, Dale and Ida get into a conversation about forgiveness, and Ida is given a palistrum seed to grow a palistrum tree and create a palisman, perhaps for King, is my theory. I'll get into that later, because, Luz already has palistrum wood to make her own. So that was that very quick B plot. There's definitely some importance in that plot as we get a little bit more information on Dale, get to see what he looks like nowadays, and as well as this whole palistrum seed situation, which again I will talk about later in the video. Now we are in to talk about the main plotline of this episode, which is an interesting one. So we start off with Luz watching more of the mouse, the mouse that they found in the Forbidden Stacks room, and they see a person called the Collector, who is believed to be the moon person from Ida's dream in episode 8 of this season, Knock Knock Knocking on Hootie's Door, where we see some sort of cloaked figure with a moon kind of pattern on their cloak, and that is probably most likely the Collector, because it's been shown throughout the episode that the Collector is associated with this, like with moon and different like crescent moons and things like that. So that is probably that character, and I don't know when we're gonna meet them, but I'm very excited too. Luz wants to use some sort of time travel abilities from the Boiling Isles to meet with Philip Whittamine, and wants to look for things called time pools, which is where you can basically go back in time by stepping into one of these pools. So Luz wants Lilith's help to find the time pools because Lilith is a historian, so she might be able to know where they are. And Luz and Lilith go out on an adventure using Titan's blood as an energy source for Lilith's equipment, which was pretty cool to see, by the way, because they still had a little bit of leftover Titan's blood on the cloth there that they could use to power her equipment. And then Luz and Lilith eventually find the time pools, and Luz constantly searches for the time portal where Philip Whittabine would be. But another thing, if the tide comes in, they could get caught in a paradox, which was kind of weird. So if they didn't happen in this episode, of course, but if they were ever to use these time pools again, perhaps we could see that happen, where they get trapped in a paradox, or maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to see. So losing the let's see how peaceful it is in the time of the wild magic, which was an observation I made um, as they were walking through. It just seemed like everybody was pretty all right. I mean, the Emperor's Coven described it as this like horrible time of crazy witches and wizards just using whatever kind of magic they want, but it seemed pretty peaceful, as shown by this episode, except for Philip Whittabine, who we actually find being bullied by a few witches and about to burn his journal, but Luz eventually saves him there, so that's really good. And Luz promises to help find the collector if Philip Whittabine can kind of talk to her about what she has done and like the portal and door and everything. So Philip Whittabine agrees because he's looking for the collector. So Philip Whittabine and Luz kind of bond about being humans on the Boiling Isles. They talk about glyphs, things like that. And then the three of them, as in Luz, Lil, and Philip Whittabine, are end up being in the head of the Titan, which is where the collector lies. And Lilith and Luz start to become suspicious of Philip Whittabine because he just kind of has like lots of compliments and is really happy and trying to somewhat win them over, it seems. So they're kind of getting suspicious of him, and that obviously comes into play later here. But Philip Whittabine was looking for a sacrifice to this monster behind the collector's door that was, my guess, was protecting the collector's mirror, which was interesting. So Luz and Lilith have a fight against this beast while Philip Whittabine is digging in the sand, in this like little sand pit, for a mirror, the collector's mirror. And then when Luz and Lilith confront Philip to get more info, but they don't get any more info. So basically, Philip escapes with the mirror, with like the collector's moon mirror, and then eventually they confront him because they are able to win, or I don't know, knowing Luz, she's able to get the beast to stop attacking and just be their friend. So they end up confronting Philip Whittabine, but they don't. Again, like I said, they don't get any information from him and just kind of let him go because he's just a terrible person. So Philip Whittabine. Now this is like the big moment at the end here, where Philip Whittabine goes back to his cave, frustrated by the witches, which are Luz and Lilith, and most likely all the other witches who may have bullied him. And he uses the palisman energy to fuel himself or to stop like some sort of curse that was going on with like these runes or drawings on his arm there, which is very similar to Belos. I'll get into that later. But and he seems like he is ready to go after the collector. You know, he has the moon and he's shining it like on a wall, I believe, or something like that. And the collector's kind of symbols come up on the wall. So he's definitely. I wonder if the collector's going to be a villain. I don't know. I'd have to see. Obviously later on in the season. So I'm really excited again. This was a really great episode. Now I want to get into some theories for this episode because there was a lot that happened, and there's a lot of things that could be theorized from what the events of the episode here. First one, Philip Whittabine kind of maybe confirmed as Belos, because we saw Philip go into his cave and then crack some sort of like, it looked like two rocks. It didn't really look like a palisman, which was interesting, but he cracked these like two rock looking things, and the palisman energy, the same color, same look of this like green energy, went into his eyes, just like Belos does when he's at his castle, and he cracks the palisman open, and then the green whatever energy flows into his eyes, whatever that actually ends up being. I don't know, or I don't remember if they've already said it, but it goes into his eyes, makes his eyes glow green, and that kind of seems to maybe stop a curse or stop this like thing. I don't know, from de-aging is my guess here. Again, I'll get into that in another theory, but yeah, the same exact thing happened when he was in the cave. He broke the rocks and the energy went to his eyes, made him green, and he was like, I need to survive to see this through or something like that. So that then leads me to another thing where could the palisman energy to be like used to not age? Could they like keep somebody young or something like that if they were to use that energy? Which is another interesting thing that will totally be explored, is my guess, in another episode when we eventually maybe have a confrontation with Belos again. I am so excited for Luz and Belos to meet again because I feel like there's going to be all this like exposition that will come out of it. learning about this Palisman energy as well as whatever Belos' plan has been from the beginning, which again is another thing that I want to talk about, which is Philip Woodabine maybe hasn't wanted to go home, but has wanted to see to complete the Day of Unity to supposedly merge both the human realm and the Boiling Isles. Now, for me, I don't completely know all the details. I don't think anybody really knows all the details of the Day of Unity. I mean, I believe it's something like there's going to be a merging of the human realm and the Boiling Isles realm, but I don't really know exactly like what that entails. Is it going to be similar to Star versus the Forces of Evil, where both worlds kind of just have like a split and then they just combine, or is it going to be like some sort of portal opens or something like that? I don't know, but again, it's very interesting how again it doesn't really seem like he wants to go home. He just wants to find this Day of Unity, unless the Day of Unity is what he's looking for to go home. I don't know. There's so many questions I guess that arise from this episode, and with this like theory idea, I guess. Then another one here that I did want to talk about that I mentioned back in the discussion there about the episode is that King could maybe get a magic staff with the Palisman seed that Ida got from Dale. Because my guess is that they're going to plant it, then they're going to have a lot of Palistrom wood to use to create Palisman, and Luz already has Palistrom wood to make her own Palisman that Ida and King got her for the Palisman Day episode. What was that? When they went to Letissa with Hunter there. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But so Luz already has Palistrom wood. So I don't really know what the seed is going to be used for, and I think King might be able to get magic powers here because they kind of talked about like, oh, he's a Clawthorn, Clawthorns have magic, that kind of thing. So maybe we could see King getting powers, maybe some magic powers going, which would be interesting to see. So yeah, that was just kind of a couple quick theories that I wanted to talk about there. All right, so that was it for this one. Again, I apologize if this one sounds a little weird or a little wonky or anything like that. Again, I have a cold and I'm not in my usual recording place. So yeah, if you enjoyed that video, do the YouTube stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys later.